the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is EdTech, episode 30, recorded Thursday, October 23rd, 2014. Come to Flyover country. This is EdTech, the monthly look at the education space inside AV, part of AVNation. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us, as always, Ernie Bailey from UAMS. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just great, Tim. Ready to do this.
Yes. Also with us is Greg Brown from UCLA. Hello, sir.
Hey, Tim. Hey, Ernie. Hello, world.
Greg.
Couple pieces of housekeeping before we get started. I would like to wish luck to our compatriot and our former panelist, Scott Tyner, who is moving on to bigger and better things. He's going to get his master's degree. So at least until he gets that nice.
Say master's or musher's degree?
Both. He has his mushers. He lives in Maine.
Oh,
so
okay.
I believe you get that when you're 5.
Flags,
I believe you get that when you're 5 in Maine. He's not even here to defend himself.
We won't deteriorate to short jokes, but I mean, I think he's still fair game.
You know what?
We're off to a hell of a start, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, as usual. Other thing is, we kind of missed last month, so we apologize for that. Honestly, it was all my fault. There's no way around that one.
Ernie and I were waiting to see who got the blame.
Yeah,
for
that one was
Really?
all my. I had some technical
Tim and
issues.
Scott.
Yeah, it was Tim and Scott actually. Yeah, and mostly Tim because Tim couldn't figure out how to switch something on, or I don't know. I still don't know what. Everybody could hear themselves. I just couldn't hear them, and yeah. So who knows? So we're back on track here, and we've got some. We've made some calls, got some emails out, and then we're going to start bringing in some more folks as well. So, not that these two fine gentlemen are not enough, but I'm no longer a tech manager, so I've got to find people smarter than me, which that generally doesn't take much looking. So, all right, enough self-loathing. Let's talk about some education news. First up is this. A couple of Crestron pieces, and we make a lot of jokes about Crestron on the show, but
you guys make lots of jokes about Crestron on the show.
Yes, we make a lot of yeah. Greg doesn't. Greg loves Crestron.
Some of us live dangerously close to the.
Yeah, Greg's neighbors.
Greg's neighbors. Yes.
They know where I live, so to speak.
Here's what we've got. First of all, they've redesigned their Media Link controllers. Which I think is kind of cool. Secondly, they've got they've got a wireless sharing piece now, and it's kind of like ClickShare. It's kind of like both Barco and Christie's wireless technology. I did not see it physically, touch it, all that stuff. However, someone on this panel has. So I guess the first question, and Greg, we'll start with you since you are the one who's perilously close to them, and you've actually messed with with their new wireless stuff. Are they on the right track here? I mean, are they coming back around? Not that I expect them to be at a trade show anytime soon, and that's honestly where a lot of our ribbing of them comes from.
Oh, strangely enough, I saw them at a trade show.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wait a second, it was Bixby. Because they go to every other trade show other than InfoComm.
Oh.
Oh, damn, that helicopter's back.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Are they on the right track again? I mean, because I honestly think for a while there, that for whatever reason, and I've heard 15 different stories, so I'm not going to write or broadcast the ones that I've heard because again, there are 15 different ones, and who knows at this point why they stopped going to InfoComm. And yes, I know what the official line was, and I don't buy that either. But it felt like they kind of lost their way, right? They weren't at the trade shows. The stuff they were putting out wasn't. They were missing some deadlines, some time frames where they said that stuff would be out, and it just wasn't. They didn't get right on the digital bandwagon and right on with HDCP for a while. That took some time. But they've had a couple interesting things. They've got their all-in-one boxes now, which is a DMPS and a AMX Innova competitor. They've got a box that spits out HD base T, which is interesting. So the question is, are they coming around? Are they coming back to where they're where they're making some good decisions product-wise and technology-wise?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and disagree with you.
Okay. Yeah. That's nothing wrong with that.
A monthly occurrence, isn't it?
It is.
I will disagree with you in part. I think where they've suffered has been with the cutting edge of technology, the advanced control system aspects, the advanced switcher aspects. HDCP, things like HDMI, things like that. I think a lot of those products on that end of the product line, I think they've been I think they've been weak, and a lot of their stuff has struck me as we're rushing to get this out so we have something to sort of. On the flip side, they do a lot of other stuff really well, and I don't think they've necessarily lost that edge. The things we're talking about here this week are more simpler items, and I think that's where simpler items brought to our industry, well thought out, competitively priced, not the cutting edge of technology. That's where I think their strength has been and continues to lie. I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag as far as them. I've seen the products. I have not. I would like to play with the collaboration device. I have not played with that. I've seen the wireless device and the HDMI wireless. We need one too. There are 17 different versions of it available in the residential market, but
yes.
We need one in our market too. I'm glad to see somebody I know selling it, and not somebody that I'm going to have to go to Best Buy to get so I can integrate it in the classroom. And I like my understanding is this isn't a replacement line of Media Link controllers. This is just are going to be different models of this new design that are going to add to the line. And it definitely looks better. Sort of a hit and miss. With the buttons, they are larger and they look nicer. They're still really cheap buttons. If like the old ones, they have a real clunky, cheap action. That has mattered to some people here, so I'll toss it out there. I know most schools are not going to care a whit about that. They're cheap buttons, but they look better. And as far as schools, the other thing you have to watch here now with the new design, the panels being magnetic, and they, look at this. I just happen to have a Media Link plate. What they've got on them, this is a traditional one here. Yeah. But the new ones have a little screwdriver divot cut on the back, on the bottom edge. Like you were going to take a screwdriver and go underneath and pop it up. Okay. And it's just held in place by magnets. I knew that going in, and the first thing I did was look for that, see the little cut, get my finger under it, and pop. You can pop the plate right off. I think that's going to be a liability in some educational places, venues, because some kid's going to pick that or figure that out, and you just lost 137 plates one morning. Yeah.
All right. So Ernie, are you going to agree with me or disagree or agree with Greg? I guess is the best way to put that.
On at least part of it, I'm going to agree with Greg. Okay. In that I think of Extron as being a very good source for the small pieces that go in between the big pieces. Okay. The black boxes that we need in the system. I don't look at them for control systems or switchers or the big pieces, but the small pieces that are kind of hard to find. Like Greg said, they're a no name. Every one of your AV suppliers can get a hold of them So you're not having to go use your credit card and try for reimbursement when you need to get one. You can buy it direct from an AV supplier. You can buy it as part of an AV package that you may be buying that you're going to assemble. You don't have to one-off one or two items on the list. And I will say they make the best tweakers in the market.
Jeez.
So,
okay.
But I have not done anything with this wireless device. We're not really in the market for wireless HDMI on our campus. We're wiring everything in. I feel better that way. I don't get into arguments with our network engineers over taking up their wireless spectrum or what's going to interfere with what or anything like that, no matter what type of device I use. So we use wireless microphones, and pretty much everything else is wired in.
Okay.
I looked, and I've only so far found 4 Crestron tweakers here on the desk in front of me.
Well, then you are nowhere near an AV geek.
Although, including the
classic.
Old school,
Yeah.
yes, the classic fixed blade tweakers.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, the different blade on both ends. The sort of.
It's been 5 or 6 years since they stopped doing those. Maybe even longer than that. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen those. I think I've actually lost.
They were still at InfoComm.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Wow. All right. Well, speaking of InfoComm, let's take that nice transition. A couple pieces about InfoComm. First is congratulations, they've got their first Apex Audio Visual Provider of Excellence recipient. It's a company called ZDI, actually somewhat in my neck of the woods, up about 2.5 hours away from here in the Bloomington Normal area. It's the first Apex certification that InfoComm has put forth. I will tell you, being on the other side of this, guys, and we're trying to get our Apex as a company I work for called Innovad. It's a process. It's a process. It's an arduous process, and I'm kind of glad that it is. Right? It's not just pay $50 for an application fee and then hey, here your Apex. Ernie, is this a big deal for because InfoComm has tried different levels of this, right? They've tried different iterations. We had jewelry for a while. We had silver, gold, and platinum for a while, emerald and stuff like that. Regardless of whether it's the old one or this new Apex, are these certifications and these stamps from InfoComm a good idea, and what do they mean for
I
tech
think they're a good idea. When we're putting systems out to bid, usually if I'm putting a system out to bid, it's a large one. It's the 3 lecture hall system that I've got going right now or something like that. Yes, I specify that you have to have a certain level, or the integrator that gets it has to have a certain level of certification from InfoComm. We have at times when there have been, the stacked, gold, silver, platinum, or emerald, ruby, diamond, whatever, we may do a point system where the higher level you get, the more points you have towards scoring of your proposal. I do like to see one that's a little bit more difficult, other than just paying, like you said, paying the fee and having all your techs get their CTS. Yes, that is important, but there's a lot more when you're looking at an integrator than just the technicians. You want to know that they're doing a good job all the way through the project, finishing projects out, things like that.
All right. I like that idea too, by the way, of getting the person, if you have a higher level, than giving them more points, because it's right. You know more what you're doing is ostensibly the at least the assumption that I would make. Mr. Brown, is this a good thing for integrators and for suppliers and stuff like that to have this, and for you guys as tech managers?
So I guess what you were saying there, Tim, is that Bloomington is near normal?
I would never say that.
Okay. All right.
Very nice, by the way.
I think it's a good thing. I'm cautiously optimistic. This is the first company I've heard of getting it. I do love the accountability aspect that you're your victims, clients have to feed information back to InfoComm on you, because you get two technology managers in the room, and you've got 16 stories of how they were screwed by some some vendor or often some integrator. And so I really hope this works out. I hope people, like you say, start asking for it, or like Ernie mentioned, start requiring it, and that people start going after it, and that it holds some people's feet to the fire. So I'm hopeful. I don't know. We'll see. Have to see how this pans out over the next couple years.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because actually Ernie and I have talked offline several times about consultants, and he's got a really good one right now. And is there a place for that for consultants? Because there are some really, really great consultants. There are some really, really bad consultants as well. And there are times which, at least when I was in education, that for whatever reason, education places don't like to talk to other education places about their bad experiences, right? I don't know if they're afraid of getting sued or what have you. They just kind of pass along the bad consultants to the next person and try to get a good one. Ernie, is there a place for consultants or other programmers or whoever else for that type of certification for
I would love to see that kind of certification for consultants. As you said, we have a real good consultant right now. I've worked with some good ones, several good ones, one not so good one, who I don't even believe advertises themselves as an AV consultant anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, I would like some certification. Like Greg said, the feedback from the client back to InfoComm to let them maintain their certification or, to reach different levels, I think is a big step forward from the previous one where, I knew some consulting houses that had two consultants, two listed as consultants, and they both had their CTSD, so they got their highest level certification. But there's only so much a firm that size can do. But, at the same time, there might be a company that's got, 50 to 75 good consultants working around the country, but they can't get that level of certification, at least as fast. But if it's done based on, both the level of expertise and of training certification, as well as the feedback from the customers, I think that's a much more reliable system, and something we can track and we can know what we're getting into.
Yeah, Greg, you guys don't do a lot of consultant work, do you? At least your group at UCLA.
No, my group, no. We pick up the pieces for other departments on campus sometimes when they have outside people come in, but no, a lot of higher ed circles, consultant is kind of a bad word, and there's all sorts of. Yeah.
Here's the thing: it shouldn't be, right? I mean, yes, there are bad ones, but there are great ones out there too.
There are great ones. I think a lot of it is the fear of, I'm just throwing money away into this system if I'm hiring a consultant. That's really what I've heard, and I've even felt that way until I did some recent projects where we put stuff out to bid. We said we can do all this ourselves, all the paperwork inside to do, put it out, get a good bid and all that. Well, we put it out to bid, and it came in more than double what I was expecting it to be. So as opposed to awarding it at that price that I didn't have budgeted, I went back to my boss and said, I would like to bring in a consultant. That's one that we actually have on contract with them. The contract is we pay X number of dollars per hour for his time, and then he's pre-qualified, and he's already in our system. So I just sent him what I wanted him to do, and he sends me back an estimate. We've used him that way a couple of different times, but I said I want to use him, and I sent him our proposal, and he said, well, he told us what our problem was with it, the way we had written it. We paid, what I did not think was a whole lot of money. Not only did I get the bids back within what I was anticipating, back within my budget, a couple of the bids came in significantly less than what we would have anticipated because of the way he rewrote. We got everything we'd asked for in the initial bid, but with the consultant helping us write it, we tightened up the requirements. And I more than saved what I paid the consultant to do that work on.
Yeah,
so,
and I see that right there is where the value of a good consultant, right? Of a good consultant is.
A good consultant, develop a relationship with a consultant, or 2 or 3 even, and put it out there. And I think you'll get your money's worth. It's, I used to think a consultant was great. We're building a whole new building and it's going to have AV on every floor and 3 or 4 auditoriums. Then we need to bring a consultant in. Well, we've brought them in for a couple of much smaller projects and have really saved money.
I think the problem in higher ed, I think folks like purchasing and the structure behind us put up a lot of blockades to things like consultants, not necessarily because there have been bad AV consultants, because they've had problems with consultants in other circles.
Yeah, probably.
Or one of the other aspects you've got is that a lot of times people retire and then come back the week later as a consultant. And so there are often a lot of hoops that have to be jumped through in higher ed to get a consultant that makes it difficult, not necessarily because of any sort of AV reason.
What are you saying, Greg, that there are loopholes in the state retirement systems?
That you could drive a truck through?
Yes, several, actually.
I better be nice. I'm still a member of a state retirement system today, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
ask me next month.
Yeah, I'm not, so I'll talk all of it. No, I only have comments about the state of Illinois one. So
you crossed over to the dark side.
I did.
What decision was that?
All right, let's talk about. I don't know if it's when I first saw this story, InfoComm and their regional shows. I was like, well, that's kind of stink. That kind of stinks. That the first one kind of got kiboshed. They canceled the first one, which was in Pennsylvania, and it looked like there were scheduling issues with the hosting venue. They're still doing the one in California. Let's bring up the story here from our friends over at Higher Ed Tech Decisions. The first event was supposed to be held last month in Philadelphia. Now they're still doing the one in San Jose. These are regional shows, and the reason I wanted to talk about on this show was that at least from my understanding and talking with the folks at InfoComm, this was geared really towards you guys, right? This was to bring in more tech managers, and for you, for Ernie to bring in his boss and his entire team, right? If he wasn't able to make it to InfoComm, this was that idea, right? It's a 2-day event. You guys could bring in your entire team or whoever, and introduce the higher ups to the world of AV and include all of your everybody that works with you. Let's talk about this. First of all, Ernie, are these regional shows good ideas, and how can we, as members of InfoComm, make them better and make them, I guess encourage InfoComm to do more of these instead of just the one in San Jose?
I think they're a very good idea. I think they sent out a survey this week on what tech managers would like to see at these, which seems like that should have been done before you set them up.
Well,
one issue that I have with things like this that InfoComm and a lot of groups do, New England and Southern California are not the only 2 regions in the country.
No, they're not.
San Jose is not Southern California.
Well,
okay, where is it?
In California. Most of them are Southern California or
New England.
New England or East Coast. There's not one in St. Louis or in Dallas or Little Rock or New Orleans. They're not close,
California is important.
I said you're not the only one, okay?
Well, they're going where the market is. If we were a country, we'd be what, the ninth most economic,
ninth most broke? Yes, you'd be the 9th most broke country in the world.
No, we have money now. Apparently, we're building Jerry's crazy train from one end of the state to the
other. Are you still doing that? Seriously?
Oh God, he won't let it rest. Gonna be his,
if you don't know what the crazy train is,
fame.
it's their high-speed rail from one end of the state to the other,
from north to south.
Yeah, which I thought you guys kiboshed for some reason.
We keep trying.
Okay.
Apparently, the voters don't count.
I wish I can. I think I can. All right, sorry. No, and Greg makes a good point, right? There are physically more people in California than, probably all of, the Midwest. But Ernie makes a good point too. There are 4 time zones, right, in the country. Let's put one in each one, right? There's whether it's St. Louis or Little Rock or Memphis or let's pick some place that's somewhere. I'd even do Chicago. I mean, Chicago is kind of north for the Midwest, but it is a major hub, and there are some significant universities in and around Chicago. And then you have the entire state of Texas, which again is still the central time zone. And then you've got, of course, Mountain, which you could do Denver pretty easily. Although I don't know that you want a lot of tech managers going to Denver for no particular reason. I'll tell you guys a story off the air about...
Okay, that took me a moment.
I'll tell you a story about CEDIA and a party that happened at CEDIA another time. So, yeah. It was interesting. I didn't go to the party, just like to clarify that, but people I know went to the party and expressed the things that went on there.
This was CEDIA in
This was
Denver?
this year's CEDIA. This was the one in September, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So, speaking of CEDIA, it was a nice segue, unintended. Pyng! And there's a reason I'm bringing up Pyng to you guys. Pyng is Crestron's new home automation device. It is a device. It's not just the app, but it requires the Pyng system. So you've got that, plus you've got the app that allows you to do basically configure everything. And here's the thing, and Greg, we'll start with you on this because you are the newest of the three of us to Crestron. The more I look at this, the more I read about it, the more I think about it. I could see Pyng competing directly with some of the smaller control systems in K through 12 and in smaller higher ed systems because it is so simple to configure, right? And let's be clear, it's a configuration software. It's configuration. So you walk into a classroom and you say, okay, I've got this projector. Maybe you want to control the lights. I've got this lighting system, and I've got this screen, and that's it. Or maybe you have a small little switcher, and that's it. I could see them angling that way. So, is there room in whether it's K-12 or higher ed for a smaller, leaner Crestron system like this, where you basically set a level 1 or level 2 tech to work, and you give them half an hour, and the system's up and running?
That's a good question. I think so. What's going on here is everybody is gunning for the programmers. The programmers have. There's been so much. The things we dealt with for years, where you couldn't get the code, where you were held hostage by programmers. We were bagging on consultants there. How many programmers do you know, and how many competent programmers do you know?
Ernie, don't answer that. I'll explain that in a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are a lot of programmers out there who are one-person shops, and a lot of them have really given the industry a bad name. So I think they're being attacked on three sides. You have these things which are, and AMX has one too that we were talking about not long ago. These things, these wizards, if you will, that let you do very basic systems. On the other side, you've got the push to have these more sophisticated control systems. I think the days of, just pressing dumb buttons for AV systems are really limited. Where when you look at where building automation and building control is going, if we don't get on board that ship, we are not going to be building our rooms anymore in some cases. And sort of in the third direction, you have the I completely forgot what that third direction was.
That's all right.
It was a really great point.
I'm certain it was a wonderful point.
Yeah, they're big picture. They're coming at programmers from all different directions here. It's the whole misunderstandings that people who are not using programmed control systems are largely running on the mistaken beliefs they have been fed by companies that don't make programmable control systems. He will say gently and as respectfully as he can, but I think it's largely the case. And you have like we learned over the last 2 years here, you have a mid-sized room, standard equipment. You figure out what you're going to have in the room, what you want it to do, what you basically want the interface to look like. You find yourself a respectable, good, honest programmer. You pay him $1,000. Boom, there's your program. And if you're concerned that, well, I'm going to change the video projector, well, you have them put in a back page, and you get the little switch put in that says, well, I have this model now, but it might be this model B here in the near future. That takes the programmer like no time to do. There's no reason for them to just really have you buy the attachments and force you to pay them thousands of dollars for every change. Find yourself a better programmer. We're not. I think we have largely not been not done our due diligence with finding good, honest programmers. And a lot of us have paid the price for it.
Yeah. Before I ask Ernie this, I will, all self-revealing, and right now my company is doing a job for Ernie. There have been some hiccups, and I'm putting my best programmer now, which, just for the record, is not me. But you understand your own limitations, and you get smarter people than you in there. So. Now, go ahead, Mr. Ernie.
Okay. Tim, I like looking at a system like this. We have a lot of small classrooms that, like you said, they have a projector and a screen, a little media amp, and maybe, we're switching a couple of different inputs going to it, either running multiple lines to the projector or have a small 2 or 3 input switch in the lectern. But something like this, it's easily, configurable. I don't want to go with programmable with something like this, but something that, yes, any of my techs could go in, reconfigure it for the room, or they could put one in a room. Right now we're using, these little 10-button controllers, but I do have to have a programmer. I have one on staff. I've got 2 guys that program on my staff, and they can do it, but, it's taking time away from them programming the more complicated systems or troubleshooting our bigger rooms to program, all these little rooms. And, I can't put the same model projector in every room because I can't upgrade 60 classrooms, at the same time. So I'm going to have a mix, just a mixed bag of projectors. So I need something that's fairly easy to configure and to make changes. Something like this is something that I would see as something very good for higher ed, and probably even for the K-12 market. I haven't looked at these enough to see the pricing on them. I'd like to see what that is, and I'd like to see other products like it.
I think list price is $500 or $600.
See, that's what I'm paying for that 10-button controller that we're programming.
Yeah.
Right now. So if this will go back and talk to my Fusion control system and work with us that way, I'd be very happy to look at something like this for any new classrooms and retrofitting our older ones as we can.
Yeah. Now I will say this: it doesn't come with an interface, right? So the interface is some sort of mobile device, whether it's an iPad, an iPod Touch, or what have you.
Right.
So you would have to purchase that aspect. All right. One last story before I let you guys get out of here.
Actually, let me jump back for a second onto InfoComm. I went onto their webpage here, and yeah, they do have the San Jose event listed for March, but there is an event much more focused on higher ed folks, and that is InfoComm on campus. And I had not heard anything. That's why I didn't say anything and jumped onto the website, but. There is an InfoComm on-campus event planned for December 9th in Los Angeles, California, at USC, University of Southern California. So I won't get back onto the California bandwagon there with Ernie, but there's another event if anybody is local and for much more higher ed focused than not that the San Jose sounds like a pretty big gig too.
Yeah.
From its write-up, the InfoComm on campus looks like it's intended as a much smaller sort of thing, but they got a schedule and everything online on the InfoComm website.
Is that just one day?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
8:30 to 5.
8:30 to 5. Yeah.
It's a full day. You could ride your bike over there, couldn't you?
Yeah, if I don't mind getting shot at.
Jeez. Wow. God.
Hey, they're in a shady part of town.
USC is?
They are in a yes. They've had a number of shootings right around campus in the last year or two.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's one thing about UAMS. I never got shot at. So.
No.
and I ate very well. I will say that. Yeah. So. Between Senior Tequilas and the orange, what's the orange burger place?
Big Orange.
The Big Orange. That's right. Very good place to have burgers if you're in Little Rock. So, all right. Last one before I let you guys go. Ernie mentioned the fact that they use wireless mics. Okay, so the FCC they've gone back and forth, right? This is according to PC World. They are taking steps to make quote unquote more room for white spaces. Now, the question is whether or not you believe them at the same time as they are killing, or supposedly going to be killing, the 500 megahertz band sometime soon. Ernie, you've got a lot of wireless. So how concerned are you about what the FCC is doing in regards to white spaces? And do you guys have a backup plan in case they do come through and say, hey, you can't use that spectrum anymore?
Well, our backup plan is to purchase in a different spectrum. I don't like doing that, but sometimes that's just kind of where we have to go. I know when this happened last time, most of the manufacturers offered us rebates or trade-ins. If we stayed with their product and went to the new one, we got a bit of a discount buying their replacement product.
Yeah.
So I hope we will see something like that again. We've seen this notice from the FCC 3 times in the last 2 years. It keeps getting pushed back. Basically, I have made our budget office aware that this is how many microphones that we have. If I have to buy them outright, this is what it will cost. But just let them be aware that this may be coming. We have a project change office that looks at things like this on a campus-wide level for not just for AV, but for anything that would require a major change, and they help us manage budget, identify funding for things like that, and they prioritize it as far as the campus needs. So they're aware that this may be coming up, but it's not a priority at this time. But they won't be shocked when the FCC says it's this date and it's not going to change. Yeah. Then we'll look at it. Okay. But we just recently done a re-inventory of our microphone systems to make sure that we're all legal.
Very cool. All right, Mr. Brown, do you guys have a plan for this? Should this come down, like Ernie said, should they come down and say this is the drop dead date for these frequencies?
No. No.
I love you.
And we
the FCC.
Yeah.
we might be okay where we are. We ended up having to toss out, 150 wireless systems when we lost 800 megahertz because all of our stuff was up in the high 800s, low 900s. We're down in the 600s now. We're sandwiched in between some of the TV stations, but we're strangely enough, I'm surprised we work in a somewhat RF intense environment that Los Angeles is, but we may be okay. I mean, and as far as the FCC, speaking as somebody who has 2 FCC issued licenses and probably at the risk of hanging on to those, I have little to no faith that the FCC will do something intelligent.
I don't disagree with that, by the way. And I don't have any license. So that's why I'm doing podcast now. So, all right. That'll work.
See how far they got me.
Yeah, well, actually, by the time I got into radio, it's weird. By the time I got into radio, you no longer needed an operator's license. Years ago, to be actually anywhere near a radio console, you had to have an operator's license.
Yeah.
And
I was actually studying for the test when they changed it. So.
Oh, very good, very good. Yeah, actually, I found out one thing about Ernie. He and I both have radio backgrounds, so. And both of us ended up in AV. I'm not sure what that says about the AV industry or about the radio industry, but hey, there we are. Yeah. All right, guys, that'll do it for this month. With us, as always, Ernie Bailey from UAMS. Thank you, sir.
I'm glad to participate. Enjoyed it.
Where can people find you?
LinkedIn is the best place to find me.
Okay. Also, Mr. Greg Brown from UCLA. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And where can people find you?
Hold court on LinkedIn all the time, and one of these days I'm going to get back to blogging over there on All Voices for InfoComm. They've had me wrapped up in this other project here for the last 9 months, but they're kind of starting to make noises about wanting me to get my pen back, my poison pen out. No, they don't want my poison pen. They want my nice, jovial, humorous pen. But
so they're going to let you write again?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't stop you from writing. They just stopped publishing you. Right?
They didn't like one of the blogs I wrote, but that is. Can I say where that's going to appear?
Sure, absolutely.
That's going to appear over on AVNation as soon as I dig it back up and change it a little bit and talk about AVNation instead of InfoComm. And I'm going to have 2 blogging homes. One for fine, upstanding work, and then the others over on AVNation.
Oh my! Also, real quickly, not for nothing, but both of you have been. Greg is still is the chairman of the Technology Managers Council. So, Greg, since you are the current chair, how do technology managers find you guys, and if they're interested in joining the council, how do they do so?
There is a Technology Managers Council webpage on the InfoComm website. Yes, about 2 months ago they changed the picture to my picture from Scott's picture.
Wow!
So yeah, they're right on top of things over there in Fairfax.
You've only been never mind. I was going to say it's only been 2 years since you've been the chair, but go ahead.
Yeah, it has only been 2 years since I've been the chair, and we are going to hold another meeting soon. And I've been busy, they've been busy, and it was summer, and so we've been kind of quiet of late.
All right. So yeah, if you're a member of InfoComm, go by there and check that out. So, all right, don't follow me or do anything. My tweets are generally boring right now. I'm complaining about the Bears season. So, but go by the website if you would, please. AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. We have 2 brand spanking new ones this week. One is called the Power Over Ethernet Show. It is not for the weak of heart. It's hosted by Tony Zotti, very smart programmer out of Denver, talking about, honestly, AV networking. This first show I learned a lot. I actually got to hang out and sit in the behind the scenes and watch it from the wings, and it was very cool. Learned a lot of really smart people on that show. And then our buddy Phil Cordell has a new one coming out this week. They have a new AV Apps episode this week. We had a new State of Control this week. So all kinds of stuff, and of course our weekly AV Week, which is our wrap-up of news and information. So check it out if you would, please, avnation.tv, avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been EdTech.